Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
What's up, everybody? Oh, yeah. It's one fucking hour time. Get ready for the greatest night of your life. That's right. It's the show where we talk about one goddamn movie, and we have just one fucking hour to do it.
Just one man.
Yeah. I'm Evan Husney. And of course, I'm joined to my left here by Big T, Tom Fitzgerald. T, how's it going? Welcome back.
Hey, I'm living large on mushroom power.
Ooh. Oh. Yeah. All right. Beautiful. That's perfect. And of course, we got to my right, as always. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Marcus Herring. What's going on, Marcus?
Up? I do love how the song gets reggae at the end there.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty great.
Yeah, totally.
I was thinking, this is crazy. Next year, we put out a 45 vinyl 7-inch of that theme song.
Fuck, that's a
and
good
that song
idea.
And that song is called the One Fucking Hour theme song.
Yes. Oh my God. Light up the chat. Light up the comments, everybody.
Yeah,
would you buy?
Hit us up with a 1 if you want that, or
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You put your pre-order comments in.
Yes,
right.
Vinyl of our theme song.
That is a fucking tremendous idea, of course, and maybe like you flip it around, and maybe on the other side you hear
maybe there's a little.
I don't know. Maybe not. That would be
It's
weird.
our favorite drops. Yeah. It's like they're called scratch. Like for DJs, scratch.
Yeah. Perfect.
Like cues.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Oh, and then maybe you could you could slow it down.
Kind of slow.
And have.
Right. It's a work in progress, but
that's
look out for us.
Fantastic.
On vinyl.
Fantastic idea. I love that. Okay. Great. But what are we talking about tonight, everybody? Of course, it's episode 135 of the show, and we're getting into Ted Kotcheff's Split Image from 1982. Very much, a cult film in the truest sense of the word. Sort of about the era where cults were running wild, the Moonies, and Jim Jones was just a few years removed. Children of God. So getting into that world tonight. But one of the main reasons we picked this film, we mentioned it last week, but just to kind of say it here at the top of the show, tonight is paying tribute, of course, to Ted Kotcheff, one of my favorite directors. But of course, I'm biased. I had a chance to work closely with him about 10 years ago when we released Wake and Fright back in theaters, opened it up, all around the country. But as you may know, as of I think it was 3 weeks ago-ish now, since we're recording this today, that Ted, passed away. And just, he's an amazing director. He has a very eclectic filmography, maybe one of the most eclectic filmographies.
Dude, seriously, I was just looking like my man did Who's Killing the Great Chefs of Europe?
Yes, exactly. Alongside
that's a Ted Kotcheff's joint.
Oh yeah, totally. Alongside Fun with Dick and Jane, First Blood.
If you drop Weekend at Bernie's in with anything, though, it's
Weekend at Bernie's,
instantly eclectic.
Yeah, Tom's favorite, The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz. We're gonna get into all that shit. But Ted is amazing, and it was a really an honor to work with him. And so tonight's a tribute to Ted. Love you, Ted. Thanks so much for everything. And shout out also to the One Fucking Hour archives. We did do a full hour episode on Wake and Fright, perhaps his masterpiece. So if you want to listen to that, check it out. It's in the archives. But before we get into the main show, everybody, it's definitely time to give a shout out to the you-know-what. It's time to get real and talk about the One Fucking Hour Patreon. All right, everybody.
Right, new rules.
New rules around here. Patreon.com/One Fucking Hour is where you can sign up for just $5 a month and become a Momen and support the show. It's the best way to do so. It's just $5 a month, as I said. It gets you instant access to all of our bonus episodes, all of our feature-length audio commentaries, and 24-hour early access to every single episode so you can see them before anybody else does, right? And we got a big new bonus episode coming up shortly in the next few weeks, Tom. You might want to, that's your cue. Flash it. What do we got?
Oh, you mean a little bit of something called Pizza Man?
Oh, Pizza Man.
With
That's
your
it.
boy, Bill Marzaman.
That's right.
Yeah, 1991's Pizza Man. Very strange. Here's the VHS. Believe it or not, I recently found this at
In the wild.
an old bookstore.
Bill Maher in the wild.
Hell,
Yeah.
coincidence. Yeah. So, very strange film. It's actually sort of interesting. I watched about half of it, but mostly it's probably our conversation has evolved into basically a TED Talk on our man Bill Maher.
Exactly. So if you want to watch that, hang out with us and do a watch along, ride along while we're watching Bill Maher's. It's a Bill Maher noir is what I'm calling it. Pizza Man. Sign up for the 1 fucking hour Patreon, or if you want all your bonus content to live on YouTube, just find our YouTube channel homepage, click the join button, and become a Momen of the YouTube channel. Same perks, same benefits, and we appreciate it nonetheless. So thank you everybody who's signed up so far and supported us, because it keeps the lights on here. It keeps our employee, our first employee fed and ready to go. So yeah, hell yeah. All right, everybody, here we go. And it's time, Tom, to
start the clock.
All right, so here we go. Here comes the clock. All right, everybody strap in. Here we go. Locked and loaded. And all right. Gonna start here the episode like we always do with a synopsis action. So, all right, here we go. Split image from 1982. Danny Stetson, a clean-cut college gymnast with a bright future, is drawn into a remote utopian community after meeting Rebecca, played by Karen Allen, a warm and captivating young woman. But beneath the surface of the commune lies a rigid cult-like system led by, system led by the magnetic Neil Kirklander, played by Peter Fonda. And then as Danny is slowly indoctrinated and cut off from his former life, his desperate parents enlist Charles Pratt, played the fuck out of by James motherfucking Woods. Yeah, who's on fucking fire in this film, and we're definitely going to be getting deep into that. But he is a volatile deprogrammer, a cult deprogrammer. He's hired to forcibly extract Danny. Directed by Ted Kotcheff, as we said, Split Image unfolds as a tense psychological struggle over identity, belief, and control, set against the backdrop of America's growing fears about cults in the 1980s. And the film also graphically shows, really the visceral, raw rigors of the deprogramming process. Not sure how, maybe it is factually based in some regard, but I'm sure there are other techniques out there, which we'll get into. But also the sacrifices of a family that the family must endure in terms of, having their child returned to them. So this film centers on the idea of, a loved one, a family member, basically getting indoctrinated, and now we got to kidnap our son from the clutches of this cult and isolate him, to break him down and to break the brainwashing that is going on. So fascinating film, as we mentioned earlier. Deep cut film. It is definitely not at the top of everyone's mind, but a gem nonetheless from the 80s. And it's directed by Ted Kotcheff. And just very briefly, even though I touched on this, Ted is he's a Canadian-born director who worked in Hollywood. His biggest film obviously is Rambo: First Blood, which is amazing. Someday I'd love to cover that movie. Sure. It still rips. It's great. But of course, Marcus mentioned Weekend at Bernie's, Wake in Fright, but he's also, North Dallas 40, which is just an incredibly awesome, gritty 70s film, kind of look at the salacious insides of the NFL during that time. Nick Nolte's on fire in that movie. It's very awesome. The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, as I mentioned, which feels like a very, if the Coen brothers made a movie in the 70s kind of vibe. It's actually the film that kind of broke Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, I think Steven Spielberg saw his performance in that and then got him for Jaws. Split Image, with tonight's film, of course. But he also did Uncommon Valor, which is an underrated war film. So just very interesting filmography, very diverse. And then he would go on to be one of the showrunners on Law and Order SVU for years and years. Ooh. So he had a cush gig doing that and working with Dick Wolf nonetheless. But, Wake and Fright was always this film, as we mentioned in our episode, on that in the archives, that was lost forever. I mean, this was one of these movies that the last surviving known print of this movie was thought to have been destroyed and for decades. And it wasn't until somebody found like an unmarked box in a warehouse in Philadelphia and they were able to rescue this film and get it restored and really out there, because it didn't really have an original theatrical release. It premiered at Cannes. It didn't have much of any real release, and until the good folks down in Australia had restored this film and gotten it back out there. And so that was my experience working with Ted. Was, I spent the better part of almost 2 years trying to acquire the U.S. rights. I won't bore you with how intense that was, but it was very tangled, and I wound up calling down in Australia every day to try and check in on the rights to this movie. And lo and behold, we had actually managed to solve it, and we were able to do a deal when I was working at the Draft House, and we put the film out, and Ted was so thrilled that this film was finally getting like a real U.S. release after 40-some years. And he went on the road with us. We opened the film in Film Forum in New York. It was the last ever 35 millimeter print ever struck in Australia, which was very cool. So we had to, strike a new print for that. That's what they make you do there. And of course, we played it all over Texas, and because it's it's one of the better beer drinking movies there is. And we played it all over LA and everything, and it was awesome to. And then of course, Ted invited me to his home, and he had this incredible modern art collection, and he was so nice and gracious, and always was interested in my career pursuits and what I was up to, and and how things were going, and if he could help in any way. He was very selfless, very cool. We saw movies together. He's just an all-around awesome dude, and so I just wanted to pay a little bit of tribute to him, because I just always respected the hell out of him, and of course his work, which we're going to talk about tonight. So salute you, Ted. Godspeed.
I did have dinner with him once before screening. We were doing very nice guy, very down to earth. No, and I didn't feel like any kind of like barriers. No, like generational or anything like that. He was just very chill. And you just want to talk about movies, and very appealing.
Yeah. Awesome dude. Yeah, shout out Ted. All right, well, let's get into this movie a little bit here. As we mentioned, cult deprogramming sort of is on the top of mind with this movie, and of course, Tom, it does. I mean, I don't know where you want to start off with that, but I mean, you had a pretty interesting experience in that regard.
Well, yes. Was one of the big guys at Cinefamily in Los Angeles. And there were 2 times we got very much into cults. And the second time, I don't know, about 10 years ago, we were getting so far into the research that we actually got in contact with Ted Patrick. Wait, what's his name?
Yeah, that's his name. Yep.
Yeah, Ted, right. I'm mixing my Teds up. Ted Patrick. He's still with us. He's in his 90s.
Wow.
Very low-key, quiet, soft-spoken guy. He's like a kind of a Christian guy, black family man kind of thing, and soft-spoken. We went to his house in San Diego. His whole extended family was there, and they're very gracious. And we were just meeting about maybe having him, at the very least, speak before one of our screenings about the subject of like maybe like he would speak before we showed Split Image or something like that.
Well, explain what he was.
Well, I'm saying so he's the preeminent, he is the definer of what a deprogrammer was. Starting in the early 70s up to like the 1972, 71, 73. He would this was uncharted territory. So all these young kids, these teenagers, acid blasted freaks, Jesus freaks, were getting into these very dodgy cults, like the most infamous one being a Children of God, but there are many others. And the Moonies is super
the Moonies.
Weird.
Yep.
Right. So all these like 20-year-old, wild-eyed, innocent kids were getting ensnarled by all these gross manipulative groups with these gross manipulative leaders. And it was unprecedented. All these parents and families and friends of these people were heartbroken. They just lost these people. Like they basically died. So long story short, Ted just sort of became what was called a deprogrammer. He just sort of took it upon himself. He had no training. What I'm saying is it was unprecedented. There's no training. He wasn't a psychologist or anything. He just said, you know what? I think I can help. So he did do things where he would kind of strong arm with a couple of guys. Right off the street, he'd take them off, from selling flowers and stuff, and get these kids deprogrammed, throw in a van. But I did get to hang out all day with Ted, and he's nothing like what you see in James Woods.
Yeah, which we'll get into. Yeah,
yeah, he's very quiet, very soft spoken, and I think that
methodical.
Actually was that seems like what real deprogramming was, which was sort of like going backwards and sort of like like unraveling all the methodical, slow programming, if you want to call it that, of the cult. And he just but he was relentless. He would just sit there with them and just repeatedly dig at them. But it's weird because he is like this amateur psychiatrist who desperate families would hire. It's all very odd. And I still feel that the Ted Patrick story, he's still with us. The Ted Patrick story itself would be very interesting. Like the real story, he would get arrested a lot. And I think, thinking of this film, rewatching it now, it's like with Ted Patrick and this film depicting deprogramming, there is sort of this like legal and like ethical and almost like philosophical like gray area in all this. Absolutely. I do understand like the wanting to hire a quote unquote deprogrammer. Yeah. And I could see some of their methods looking pretty gnarly on paper, but I guess all I care about is I would hope and assume that there's a lot of people who were in cults who got deprogrammed and they're very thankful. Sure. Because I think that's what ultimately would happen a lot. Ted would be thanked not just by the parents, but by the person who was in the cult and they were deprogrammed. They were like, "Oh my God, I woke up. Thank you. What else? Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever get out of there." Right. Mental grip. But it's still kind of an odd thing, and that is very much a part of this film. Totally, which we'll get into. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's ambiguity, but anyway, yeah, I met him. Brush with fame. Very strange to meet Ted. That's really Patrick. Cool, and also the OG deprogrammer. And just for further reading, if anyone's interested in this subject. Ted wrote a book called Let Our Children Go, I believe is what it's called. If you want to check that out, it's very fascinating. Gets his whole story in there. So yeah, for further reading. But yeah, so from Ted Kotcheff's own words about the genesis of this project, Split Image, because we should mention this is 1982, and we said kind of before we were recording, Tom, that this movie kind of dukes it out with another film from just the year prior, which is called Ticket to Heaven. Both films kind of rooted in the Moonies and what's going on at the time, because you do see them giving out the flowers in this film and, of course, in Ticket to Heaven. Very emblematic of that. And both these films, I think you could make a debate for either in terms of which is better between the two, but they both have their perks and their qualities, both worth checking out. I think they do complement each other. Yes. I think that there's, this film, which I've grown to like more over the years than I had, because I'm a big kind of Ticket to Heaven stan. Totally. But like, I think what I appreciate about this film, Split Image, is because it is kind of a Hollywood treatment of this big subject, but which is distinct from Ticket to Heaven is very downbeat and very like 16 millimeter and like overcast and like quiet and like moody and grim. Yeah. And like literally lived in like Toronto streets and like method acting kind of. And like, for instance, the deprogram in that film is not this big, crazy gesticulating James Woods. So I like both of them. And I highly recommend, we're probably going to do Ticket to Heaven. We will do Ticket to Heaven at some point. So they're both of value, but it's a great 1-2 punch within that 12-month period in the early 80s. Yeah, totally. So in Ted Kotcheff's own words here, this is kind of what he said. He said, quote, there was this whole phenomenon of moonies and cults at the time. It interests me why all these young Americans were joining them. I did a lot of research and spoke to a lot of people who had been in cults. Most of them felt that society had become too materialistic and too crass. They wanted something beyond that and more spiritual. And of course, he remarks that he likes the film a lot to this day. And this was from a more recent interview. But yeah, and obviously you can see, I know he's commented on it. I remember him talking about it, that it was also very prescient at the time, the idea of, Reaganism. This is coming in at that time, where like, commercialism, materialism as an all-time high. And you do hear hints of that dropped in this film, especially from the younger brother later on in the film. Love that. Yeah. When he's like, I just want Alex Keaton kind of kid. Yeah. And he's like, I just want to live in the highest tower and have everybody leave me alone and be a kind of survivalist. Yeah.
I want to have a lot of money.
I want to get in a tower so high that noise and pollution don't affect me. I want to be at the penthouse, Right. And of course, James Woods prompted him to ask him how he sees himself in the future, the younger brother. Don't you love America? And then, of course, James Woods looks over at the parents after the kid makes this kind of grody statement about being a materialistic fuck. And yeah, James Woods just kind of gives him a look like, raising some great kids here. So
yeah, totally.
Nice little eyeball acting from James Woods there.
Totally. And so speaking of the Moonies, of course, Raimi was going to join us for tonight's episode, but she was feeling a little under the weather. But she wanted me to mention to everybody, again, for further reading, there's so many good books on this subject, but I thought I would show this too. This is, of course, Crazy for God, Tom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get that.
The Nightmare of Cult Life by an ex-Mooney disciple, by Christopher Edwards. This sort of sums up,
shit.
of course, someone who did survive.
It's Moonies.
The Moonies.
I'm going to go insane. I'm going to take a picture
of the screen.
Wait,
I want to see you.
I want that book.
Okay, here you go. Yeah.
Sick.
So for any further reading, this is Raimi wanted to make sure everybody caught this and
Moonies are scary. 2 seconds anecdote. They had their headquarters in Westchester, which was right by where I was growing up.
Oh, wow.
And kids would tell me, like, man, we went too close to the Moonies grounds. And he said, all you see is like guys with holding machine guns and like walking up and down in the fields, in the property.
Fucked
and
up.
they look like gross paramilitary people. It's like, that's really lovely. Oh, and also of course, the very famous Wild Country.
Yes.
Cult,
Yes.
Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. Like things got, and this was right when this was.
Wait,
this
what
film
was that
came
that
out.
you said? You said what? Sorry. What was that?
Razi Sadahindo.
All right, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So anyway, all right, let's get into this just in terms of the film. Okay, so this also is great because we're right in the pocket of the early '80s films. It does kind of feel like, with all respect to Ted, it does kind of feel like a great made-for-TV movie as well. Yeah. I don't mean that in a bad way.
I think part of that's the cinematography. Like it feels, and I think the guy who did the cinematography did a lot of TV stuff, like Dallas.
Oh, okay.
I did notice that he did some other things that we know though, like Sugar Hill, which I love, Race with the Devil, and
wow,
Tom, this is for you. He also was the cinematographer on Pickle Goes in the Middle.
Dude, respect. That's next week's episode, by the way.
But it has that kind of hacky. There's something about the cinematography that feels like a TV.
If I might say, I think also the structure of the plot is like, it's a little spoon, and this is not an insult, and I like it actually. It's a positive to me. It's a little spoon fed.
Sure.
Like the note the film ends on, it's like, but actually, you know what? I got to say, right when the film started, I think you were saying early 80s zeitgeist. Like I was reminded of Vision Quest.
Okay. Sure. Totally. Yeah. And
that's all.
I was also going to say that a lot of movies from this time period, I feel like, or it's a Mandela effect thing, open with slow-mo gymnastics beauty shots. You do see a lot of that, right?
Yeah, it's the only reason he's a gymnast, right? Is because of the other movie. I mean, like, there's no real other reason for it. I mean, he uses it a couple times, I guess, and he's fast, right?
He's quick on his feet. Well, no, I guess. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's like the first time you encounter this guy, and I think it shows that there's a certain kind of intensity to him.
Sure,
like he's not just like a burnout beer drinking asshole.
He's got a future ahead
concert
of him.
Guy. Yeah, like no, but he also like he like really wants to like nail the landing. The mountain, dismount, and all that stuff. Like, so he's a driven person, and that's what reminded me of Vision Quest actually. Which is this sort of, it's very cool. That's actually kind of a cool movie. I want to do that.
We should do that, yeah.
Yeah, really. But what I'm saying is it's like, that is the kind of early 80s depiction of like not a troubled teen, but a person who like has like a lot more to him than just like a dirtbag.
Oh yeah, no, he's got he's got a future. Like he can go on to college and become a collegiate, Olympic perhaps.
But also like I'm just seeing in his eyes, he's like,
there's
something driving him beyond just like cheap pleasures.
Sure.
And that makes sense. I guess I got distracted by when he uses the balance bar, like in the wild,
that is
that Jurassic Park kind of moment where
fantastic.
It just happens to be a setup. I mean, that's
Ted Kotcheff.
That is so wonderful. Like the real world appliance to gymnastics is fantastic.
Jim Cotta.
Yeah, Jim Cotta, the Jim Cotta in action. But of course, another element that makes it feel like a made-for-TV movie is because you have the Robert De Niro of made-for-TV movies in this, Brian Dennehy, who is
good call,
fantastic.
Wait, are you guys obsessed with him? Did you and Remy get into him?
I love him.
Is this? Am I Mandela affecting this?
No.
We've never gotten into like a big like Dennehy like signifier.
Dude, there was one summer where we did. I'm trying to find
Summer of Dennehy.
We did a summer of Dennehy, and it was all of the made-for-TV movies he's in. Killing in a Small Town. We did this. Right. Shout out to the Patreon. We have a whole Patreon episode dedicated to our favorite made-for-TV movies. And Dennehy did Killing in a Small Town. He did the In Broad Daylight, which is another really amazing one. So he's all over.
He was ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous, yeah.
He's everywhere. Side note, he also was in a Peter Greenaway film.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Isn't that weird?
That's weird.
Wow.
But he's also in. He's also in, and this is why he's here, I'm assuming. He's also in First Fucking Blood. You know, he's a huge part of that film, of course, playing the sheriff, which was, coincidentally, this is what's also insane about Ted's life, is First Blood and Split Image were released in the same month from each other.
Ted Kotcheff.
Wow.
Yeah, so both films came out in the same month. I think one delayed.
Yeah,
get your Kotcheff. Because one was delayed, one was moved up or something. But same month, the dude had a bomb and a hit in the middle. The same month.
That must have been really stressful.
It was really stressful.
Listen, if we're going through the cast a little bit, though, like for me, a lot of this was when I maybe see this on cable, if at all, because it really was even so obscure. It wasn't even on cable much. But like when I was a kid, it did pop up sometimes, and I just go, "Oh, it's the Caddyshack guy."
Yeah, Noonan.
Yeah, which is a big deal, like because you kind of thought when you'd see him because he's kind of the lead of the film in a way, like the figurehead of he's the surrogate for us. We're experiencing all this through him. And like you'd think like, okay, star-making turn. He had kind of a Ryan Reynoldsy, like kind of like Devil May Care, kind of like cute boy kind of thing. But no, then he just evaporated. He was in The Great Santini, Marcus's favorite movie.
Well, we did have that on VHS growing up, so I have
Well, you're talking about Michael O'Keefe. Michael O'Keefe is the name of the lead.
He's named Danny in both movies too, right?
Oh,
that's right. Well, he looks like a Danny.
No, Marcus, he is in this film. He's Joshua. Joshua.
Get it right.
So
Danny's dead.
Yeah, Danny's dead.
Sorry.
So
dead named him.
Yes, but you know what? What's amazing about him in this film is when he does go through his, which we'll get into in more methodical detail, but when he goes through his transformation into Joshua, it's amazing. When he shaves his head. And Tom, you know what he reminds me of for the most of this movie when he's got that, when he's got the Joshua look, he looks exactly like Roger from Dawn of the Dead meets Death Dream. That's exactly what he looks like.
Right. Yes.
Yes. He looks
that is a very Death Dream like
Richard
man wig.
Bacchus. Yeah. So
my man.
So yes.
Forgot about that.
There you go.
No, you're right. But anyway, I just find him kind of appealing, and it's kind of sad. He kind of threed and done it, with Caddyshack this and Santini, and he's kind of but no, I think I enjoy him in this film.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, he's got some good moments for sure.
He looks like one of the guys that would have auditioned to be Luke Skywalker.
Totally. And of course, Karen Allen is also in this film. Again, another real, obviously from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and she's
Animal House.
And Animal House.
I love that she's 30 in this, playing 18.
It's 18.
Like a high schooler.
She
can do it.
Away with it.
Sure. Yeah. Just really an amazing cast, and of course James Woods.
Right.
Who
it's all leading up to this cast member.
And it's pretty remarkable. I did not remember this, but of course he has his chunky introduction scene when he's trying to abduct another kid and save another kid, from the cult. But he really doesn't come into this film until 54 minutes into the movie, when he comes in. And of course, he's at his sleazy best in this film, dropping one-liners like it's nothing, zip-zapping across the screen. He's one of those guys that has that natural kinetic energy, the sort of gift of gab, if you will. I kind of wonder if some of his lines are ad-libbed because they're so...
Well, I was going to ask you did you maybe chop it up with Ted about that?
I don't maybe, but I don't recall. Because, there's that amazing line, of course, when, he finally, gets to their house and he's like, nice place you got here. I live in a piss hole.
So some digs you got here. We like it. Yeah, I live in a piss hole.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Well, then Danny's like, you're a materialist and you just want to eat your ego. And he's like, yeah, I live in a trailer park and I haven't got laid in a month.
You live for greed. You live for sensual pleasure.
I live in a trailer park and I ain't been laid in a month.
Yeah, right.
He's kind of what Tarantino wants to be.
Yes.
The man, this behavior, like Tarantino.
It's amazing that someone can.
Okay.
It's amazing that someone can run around and be such an asshole and charismatic at the same time. You know, you love him, even though he's almost like the villain asshole of this movie. But he's so charismatic. You also just, you love to hate him or
irresistible.
Hate to love him or something. Yeah,
it's irresistible. Yeah, I mean, look, this happens all the time with him because he has lead roles, but when he is a featured player, he just livens up the place. Everything gets good. Like in Casino. Casino. I love Casino, but like the film goes like through the roof when he's in those few scenes.
Totally. Yeah, and
he's an incredible actor. I'm going to ignore his politics because the only thing that offends me, if I might, is just that I know his politics. Just shut up and act, and I don't care. Like, just cut it out and just act because he's so good. And I kind of miss him in film. He should have just calmed down and worked on film roles.
Totally. Salvador is incredible. His performance in that.
We are overdue.
On Salvador. Keep
way
forgetting
overdue
about that.
That might be his biggest joint.
It is, yeah. But also shout out to the archives. Can't quit plugging around here. But I think our 5th episode ever was on James Woods in The Boost. Where he plays.
We should reboost sometime.
We should reboost.
I was saying we should do another big fat line of The Boost. Hit another rail of The Boost. Because I'm serious. This might be unprecedented. We might have to do a second hour on a movie, and it would be I love The Boost so much.
Me too.
Yeah. We were just talking about it today.
So good.
And and the thing is, it's James Woods' core. Because you're reminded of him.
Yeah,
like in things like The Boost when you watch these great scenes in this film.
It's remarkable that it shows you how much we love it that we picked it as our 5th episode of the show.
Right.
Yeah, out of all the movies in the world,
it was like very short list.
Yeah, but
sorry, how we starting this stupid podcast?
Yeah,
exactly. Like
The Boost,
and of course then The Boost,
which is
wind,
if you haven't inferred already, James Woods plays a manic cokehead. Who goes above and beyond and overboard in many ways. But anyway,
it's funny in this movie at the beginning he's in that van and there's this movie trope that exists in the 80s a lot where people they're like the character has an inner actor. He's quoting along with the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movie. And afterwards he's like, you should see my Cagney. I don't forget what he says, but he's like. He's got this he wants to be an actor inside. The actor,
I see what you mean.
Actor inside of his
character.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
And not to belabor this, but we were open. We were just asking the open question, like, did he improv a lot of this? And you didn't hear from Ted about it, but he must have. Because who did write that dialogue?
I know what genius.
Because it's like someone who speaks James Woods.
Yeah,
like,
Shakespeare over
and then
here.
you're going to say, look at all these fruits on campus, and it's like they don't even call themselves, like they're not even beatniks, and it's like all right, almost done writing this dialogue for you.
You know what college is? It's a fuck farm, right?
You know what I see college as? One big fuck farm.
That is him.
Sound like his tweets, kind of.
Yeah. He's just ad-libbing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's great though. It's much appreciated. We appreciate it.
Love it. Rocks hard.
So going back to the beginning, you see the gymnastics beauty shots. Brian Dennehy, the proud father, videoing his son.
Dennehy beauty shots.
Yeah. But very, very normal family for the most part. Obviously, they are depicting Brian Dennehy to be someone who works with rich clients, I think is the idea that he kind of comes.
Very golf vibes.
Yes, right.
Golf business meeting vibes.
Right. So they are trying to set up this idea, which obviously pays off later during the deprogramming scenes that, there's some rift there between, I guess what Brian sort of associates himself with and his need for money. And they have a very nice home, and we see it looks like a very nice home, and they come from money and things like that. And I do think that's part of, what Ted Kotcheff is commenting on, this idea of you come from this is a pretty upper middle class family, I would say, and they have what they need and they have access to so much, and yet there's this spiritual crisis, that Danny has, that he's in search of something more, and of course that comes by way of Karen Allen's character comes into the film. She plays, Amy is her real name, but her reborn name is Rebecca in this film. And it is a very creepy introduction. I don't like these people. I don't like people that do this.
I know. Well, I mean, the first encounter is this very blunt. She's just staring him down from across the bar.
Yeah,
just staring at him and smiling, and and it's much more than just like oh, I'd like to talk to this guy. It's a kind of aggressive, and it is a tactic that the disgusting Children of God cult called flirty fishing,
right?
Which was to use the opposite sex to ensnarl,
yes,
innocent young people through potential romantic attachments.
There's all those weird pamphlets out there that you see of them with like cartoons of them instructing their women how to go do this flirty fishing and make yourself a whore for God, and then like tying it to the Bible too, where it's like, well, Jesus said that you need to be fishers of men, so this is how you're going to go fishing to find men.
Wow.
But in general, really weird. It's a basic tactic.
That whole that whole Children of God thing, that they're still around, right? As that Family International now. They have that. There's like a viral video out there that's like a music video for SOS.
Anyway, they're so bad. I don't even want to bring them up. Like this is like really bad stuff.
Yeah.
Involving children and stuff. I'm just saying it's so repugnant, It's like brutal.
So, so the idea is, she comes in, she's the cult recruiter archetype coming in and telling Danny all about community rescue is sort of this.
That sounds good.
It does sound good. It sounds
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, philanthropic and, something you might want to do. And it's interesting because it starts out pretty innocent as a sort of film club. That they're all going to with, a projector. They're watching, Marcus, you talked about the sort of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde film.
Right.
And it is very funny when they have that scene. It's almost like something out of Annie Hall or something, or, when they're all talking very surface level about the film being the I think it's the duality
of man.
of human nature.
Well, I think obviously it's about the duality of our nature.
That's great. That's as clear as you're going to get.
And everyone's talking about that, just, being goofy college kids and stuff, and pretty innocent.
Just like Pat, college dorm talk. If I can interject here, just a very brief anecdote.
Sure.
I experienced this myself, actually.
What?
And well, here we go.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so, so I was a kid. I was into metal. I kind of got to know these other kids. I'm like 10 or 11 years old.
Wow.
And, we're like, we're all bonding over like, did you hear the new Deep Purple or whatever? So,
Perfect Strangers.
Yeah. So like I met these guys and they were okay. And like, they were like, hey, check it out, man. We're going to have like a little roundup. We're going to all hang out and talk and like have some popcorn, maybe play some games. And I was like, okay, I don't know. So I go.
Whoa.
And we're all socializing. And I'll put it this way. By the end of this hangout party, there is a 25-year-old man weeping in front of us. Yeah. Because, okay, almost done. So just very quickly. So like, I realized, I'm a shrewd cat. I'm from the streets. And I was like, okay, they're trying to flirty fish me into like some Christian save the metalheads.
Wow. That's pretty dope.
Weeping and he's going, and that's when I realized that maybe what I was looking for was myself, that kind of thing. And I started going like, dude, this is fucking cringe. What is going on? And like we're all like 13-year-old dirtbags, and we're all looking at this, sitting, and this guy's standing and going like, I found myself or whatever. And I was like, what? And then he does this thing. I swear it's right out of this movie. So he's saying goodbye to all of us as we walk out the door, and he looks me up and down. I have an army jacket with like Black Sabbath, like a patch,
sick.
Zepp, like the Swan Song, and he looks me up and down and he goes, and all my heavy metal stuff, and he goes like, I hope to see you again, my friend. And I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you were like, that is
total fucking bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right, David Lynch.
So
anyway, I live this, so it's very true. Like, it's like, it's this Trojan horse where it's like, well, we're all going to hang out and watch a movie.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's how they get you, get your feet wet, so to speak. And that's, of course, how we're introduced to James Woods, because he's about to rescue, or he's trying to kidnap one of the kids at the party who has already been, part of the cult, been up at the ranch or whatever. And it kind of is a little bit botched, of course, because the dad that he's paired with is getting very emotional, jumps the gun, and then, of course, you have this wild chase scene. And Danny is there to kind of step in, thinking he's helping a kid, basically who's being tracked down by some randos, not his actual own father. That's when you get the Jim Cotta scene and all that stuff happens. But of course, we're introduced to James Woods, and he's like, what the fuck did I tell you? You jack off, get the fuck out of here, and stuff like that. And that's Danny's first moment of realizing, well, wait a minute, I thought I was helping, but it's the father, and why is this guy? And that's when Karen Allen steps in and then is now going to take Danny to the next level. Let's get you to meet, our king and come to the grounds itself. And
one thing that jumped out before we go there, thing that jumped out at me is like he's watching that movie or whatever, and then he saves that guy and they come back, whatever. But then it immediately smash cuts to him like in the house going like he's like in bed calling his parents like, no, I'm gonna save this commune for the weekend, Dad. And he's like, Jerry, turn the blender down, Jerry.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
Like yelling at he's like yelling at the cult members already. He made himself really comfortable there, like in a matter of seconds.
Oh, yes. I thought it was his dorm.
Was that what it was?
Oh, I think it is. I think it is.
I thought he was there at the.
No, that's his dorm. Because
I thought it was like the dorm for the cult that like fed to the.
No way.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused.
They're like making booze and stuff. Like
yeah.
Like
oh, that's what it is. You're right. You're right.
Okay, gotcha.
But so he does, go to the commune, and his first thought when he gets there to meet, Neil Kurt. What's his name? Kurtlander. Is Danny says this is definitely this is like a religious cult, right? Like he actually says that out loud. Right. But then we see that, man, that doesn't even that realization doesn't carry much weight for him, because he's very easily manipulated by Karen Allen and is just following her around and
just the group think and the peer pressure. Because, and this is more articulated in the other, movie here, Ticket to Heaven, but like, in Ticket to Heaven, they have this thing like love bombing, and it's actually really nicely articulated in this film.
Yeah.
You're immediately never alone.
Right.
And I remember that actually, I talked to Ted Patrick,
yes.
Vicky Ferner a lot, and he's like, you're never, ever alone.
You sleep with everybody else.
They think he's masturbating. Like, hey, Danny, don't harm yourself. Or like he goes in to take a piss, and the girls are like, let's talk about, God, and he's like pissing. He's like, oh, like you don't get a moment's peace. So it's just relentless where it's like literally like the pressure of your peers,
Yeah, you eat together. You also eat together. It's a communal eating. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
You do everything together.
Everything together. And so you see, and of course he's there and he's like, well, I need some protein for my gymnastic, workout routine. And of course they're like, no, we're eating all this like vegetarian, macrobiotic.
And a lot of sugar, I know.
Yeah, like dirt and
have a brownie.
Yeah, the brownie or what, who knows? I mean, they might be really unfun sugarless brownies as well too.
Well, James Woods mentioned something about the sugar too, right?
Oh, does he?
He's like
that's what I mean.
Moves,
oh, did he? Did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's something about like getting hopped up on sugar.
I remember one of those cult videos, like from your mix, Tom, from years ago, where it said they were kind of going through like the tactics they use, saying like they feed you like a low protein diet so that you're tired all the time.
That's right. That's right. The idea of, well, how about this? It's this idea of
manipulation.
It is, because it's like, they're also going to be, depriving you of sleep. They're not going to, they're going to make sure you're not getting sufficient levels of nutrition. And that's a systematic way of breaking you down. And also notice, how about this? Later in the film, I believe it's after he's transformed into Joshua. Excuse me. He remarks he doesn't have to shave his hair anymore, and then Karen talks about she's not even getting her period anymore. I
love that. No, it's like me and Cindy, like we're like all the gals aren't menstruating anymore. It's so creepy.
Right. Yeah.
No, but also I just want to emphasize, I guess again, is just like this is kind of tactic 101 is never let the recruit be alone, because guess what? When they're alone, they can start reflecting on what's going on.
And being lonely.
Kind of go like, wait a minute, this is kind of not adding up so good.
Exactly.
So you never let them have a moment to reflect.
To reflect, right. So here's where we're seeing, just to kind of keep this moving, because I'm looking at the clock and getting scared. But as we get a glimpse of the grounds and the production design, very interesting. Little white pyramids over here. We're seeing a glass or a sort of clear plastic domicile, which Tom...
Geodesic dome.
The geodesic dome that made me think of Zardoz. Anybody?
Yes. Well, here's my thing. I thought of Zardoz, Tommy. It's very Tommy.
Yeah,
actually,
totally.
because Tommy gets very cult.
Yeah,
in the second half, and of course there's a pretty healthy amount of Holy Mountain stuff. Like my favorite set piece, which is the most I think Zardoz.
Yeah,
if we're talking about the set pieces, is that very cool image of those sort of thin, like silvery pyramids by the
exactly.
pond.
Exactly. Very like
Killer.
UK sci-fi from the late 60s.
The Prisoner.
The Prisoner looks very Prisoner, totally. So, okay, then we meet Neil, okay? Neil Kirklander, of course, played by Peter Fonda, who's got the perfect weird face look, lizard face for this movie. For that. I mean, he's very odd looking, big forehead man. And
with distant eyes,
very distant,
cold eyes.
Totally. He's kind of like got this mild, stony, aloofness about him. And
I'll make you guys jealous, but I peed next to him once at the Vista.
Oh,
and he probably won't remember it, so don't bring it up.
I'll ask him when I see him.
It struck me that's kind of weird that the Jane Fonda and Henry Fonda had that big year with On Golden Pond the year before this movie came out. Academy Awards for everyone.
What are you doing, Peter?
Yeah,
Peter's off in this fucking movie.
I love
this movie's cool though.
This movie is cool. Yeah,
it is cool, but it's kind of funny. Contrast.
It is. But we see him. We're introduced to him. He's obviously drawing people in. He's ranting and raving against modern society, talking about.
He's doing that shock tactic of like throwing something again, like doing a violent action to get everybody's attention. Which is very classic.
Very classic. But he's railing against Cuisinarts and Perrier and designer jeans, and
he's telling them what they want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I like that Kotcheff said that he cast Peter Fonda because he wanted all of his 60s resonances brought to the character.
No, that's it's basically Captain America from Easy Rider is the cult leader.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing.
Icon.
So, and then of course, Tom, you mentioned the scene where we're catching Danny masturbating, which of course he's not, but they're on the lookout.
They're waiting if he is.
They're waiting if he is.
Ready.
They're ready and waiting.
Now it's like they think that they did catch him, so that's how rumors get started.
Totally. And so Danny has second thoughts. He does have that moment of reflection. He tries to escape in the middle of the night. He's running around. This is a really cool scene, and it was very shocking to me because I totally had forgotten it. Where he's running and then he actually runs off of a cliff's edge, which I thought, okay, is this going to be a nightmare? Is this a dream of some kind? But no, he actually does fall off into and nearly drowns in this river. So, but it doesn't take long for Danny from this point on where, he's exhausted, he's drained, he's scared, he's emotionally overwrought, and he surrenders to the powers of the cult. And, because we've been now witnessing this very slow and methodical indoctrination. And we see a pretty rad initiation scene,
Classic.
where, he is renouncing. It's very Jodorowsky, if you will, where he renounces his previous life. Danny is dead. I am a warrior in your cause.
I am Joshua.
And Joshua is born. And
Hasta bing bong.
Yeah, right, exactly. And and then a very creepy moment. We see him. We're holding on Danny's mother as she gets a phone call from him, and he's on the other end of the phone. Danny as Joshua, basically saying Danny is dead. Danny is dead. Now this is the first time that now the family is getting tipped off of where their son has been for this whole time. And the film doesn't really give us a sense of how much time has passed.
Yeah, I've wondered. Right. I'm thinking a couple months.
Yeah, that feels about right.
Or at least a month.
Yeah, right. So where have you been? What's going on? And then
part of the ritual is like, this is very Jodorowsky, is like ritualistic hair cutting.
Yes.
Which is like always kind of spooky. You know,
Yes.
about like, you know, a lot of our identity is in like our haircuts.
Like
and stuff
Samson,
like that.
kind of removing your power too.
Right.
I always found myself wanting the Peter Fonda character to be a little bit more charismatic, like that you were drawn to him more.
Sure.
Like maybe, you know, he seems sort of distant and cold in this, and especially because that James Woods character is so.
Oh, what if they
magnetic.
swapped? What if
I
they
would
swapped?
Like that'd be cool. Well, I just like to see like an equality, you know, because Kotcheff is kind of playing both sides in this in a way. It's like showing how the deprogramming can be as traumatic as his experience, you know. So I kind of wanted an equal, you know.
I got you.
Well, it's almost reprogramming in a sense, you could say. And so then, of course, the parents, you know, Dennehy and the wife, they go visit the compound, and you know, they ask for, you know, Danny, you know, whatever his name is, and they're like, "There's no one here by that name." and then it's an amazing Dennehy moment when he loses his shit at everybody in the compound. He's like, "What are you, fucking King's fucking Solomon?"
Who the hell are you? King fucking Solomon?
You know, whatever he says to Peter Fonda.
Right.
And it's amazing, but it is haunting. And this is a good performance from Mr. O'Keefe, is when you finally do the reveal of Joshua to his parents. Is eerie when he comes out and he finally sees his parents, and his parents see him for the first time with the haircut and the whole gimmick and the whole thing. And, you know, he says to them, you know, "You are both dead and you want me to die with you." And that's very scary. That would be very scary if you were them, the parents.
Well, they say this thing, there's this creepy phrase this particular cult has about the real world, quote unquote, is like, you don't want to go back to that place of death and life.
Of course. Yeah.
Isn't that weird, creepy.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool writing to like,
yes,
kind of
yes.
You know, like bullshit you know, like phraseology.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was living in the world of death and life.
Yeah, right.
Sounds deep, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, exactly.
So then, you know, it cuts to Dennehy back at the house, and you know, he's getting very emotional watching videos of his son's gymnastics. You know, which is adorable. You know, this idea that a very masculine father is proud of the gymnastic son.
It's my boy.
It's my boy. And then fucking A, James Woods arrives right on time. He lights up this film. He basically shoots this film right in the arm.
Yeah,
like
just an electrical charge, like
right.
To split image. Really.
Yeah. And he comes in. You know, he's total fucking unkempt. You know, sleazeball, asking for coffee or bourbon. Who cares? And
pit stains,
McGee.
I haven't slept in 48 hours.
Yeah, I haven't slept in 48 hours. Oh, and
like, why?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, won't ask.
Total disheveled mess. You know, nice place
greasy.
you got. Yeah, greasy. Nice place you got here. I live in a piss hole. Hey.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's great. And then he's going to devise the plan. Pay me $10,000. And I'm
cash.
And I'm gonna get your kid out, you know, because of course he's got a long-standing vendetta against Peter Fonda's character.
Right.
And
don't tell anybody because it's illegal what I'm doing. Right, the kidnapping.
Yes, right. And that's a big
like
part
I
of
said,
it.
Ted Patrick was getting busted all the time.
Yeah,
you know, and a lot of times though the charges were dropped though. Anyway.
Yes. And this is kind of this moment too, where even though Danny Joshua is fully, you know, indoctrinated, there's a scene where he has it right before all this kind of goes down. He does have a moment of reflection somewhat where he is talking to Karen Allen and saying, you know, you made me attracted to you and you made me follow you. You know, you were trying to save me. You know, and of course, as we're going to see, he develops this deep connection with her, even though she, of course, it is reciprocated somewhat. But that is really the catalyst, as we mentioned. And
I mean, they're both falling for each other,
right?
Which is creating a distance
naturally,
from the group. Yeah. And so that helped him probably cross the line as much as the deprogramming. You know?
And Neil knows that as well too. Of course,
and that's that's another classic tactic of cults. Is to not have those kinds of bonds, only communal bonds.
Yeah.
So like, you know, they would like have everybody switch partners. Like, you're going to fuck Joe tonight. You know, that kind of,
yeah.
That's classic. Manson would do that.
Yeah. Right. Or, you know, maybe the leader himself is the only one you can.
Oh, sure.
That's a weird thing about this film.
Source family.
Yes.
it doesn't really depict those things like outright. You know,
No.
it's kind of like a PG rated version of a
Sure.
cult. It doesn't go into any of the weird sex or like mass murders or any of the bad, but it's sort of hinted that there's bad stuff. And he's enslaved them to build these like rebar buildings and stuff. But, you know, but the deprogramming is so brutal. People are getting tossed over tables and punched and slapped around. And
I know.
yelled at. It's almost like shown to be more violent than how the cult is depicted. It's just sort of a weird choice that happens.
But there is still this like underlining nefariousness to everything in the cult.
Absolutely.
You know, of course. And I want to shout out Karen Allen because I think she does do a very good job of I don't know, like when you see her manipulating him at certain points, like that dialogue scene, you know, about saving him and things like that. There's just something about that type of personality that is predatory, and I think she's doing it very well by playing a love interest, but then also, you know, there is something nefarious under the surface there with her character. I find, you know,
manipulation is right under the surface.
Sort of a false innocence or something there.
Totally.
I do like her. I got to call it the other woman actor, Deborah Rush, who's like, she's in Parents, which was on my deep cut horror movie list, the blonde woman. She's in a few other films, but I always will remember her as in Strangers with Candy. She's Jerry Blank's like evil stepmother.
Right.
Whoa.
That's
right.
Wow. All right. So then the Woods is basically trying to get the parents up to speed. He shows them video basically on the cult and the idea and basically said, see this kid here, you know, after 6 weeks of cleaning his mind and letting it hang out to dry, I was able to, you know, fix him. And my favorite is when he shows the sort of, I guess, test case of my little Chubette. You know, who's this?
Right.
You know.
Here's Debbie Cooper, my little Chubette.
In front of the restaurant,
yeah, this overweight, woman who he saved, but he refers to as his little Chubette.
Yeah, the Cracker Barrel waitress kind of interviews in the parking lot.
Yeah,
that's great.
And then she's like, you know, thanks for saving me from the cult life, and that's a very nice little, you know, faux video package there from Ted. I feel like,
and we love that here, like Being John Malkovich, like fake video packages. You know?
It's fantastic.
We see it like 3 times in this movie, right? They keep coming back to it.
It's a good when you're playing in this space, you know, you kind of expect to see a few of those. Got a shout out to, just real quick, my favorite deep cut production design detail is in that scene when he's showing the video footage, because you get to see a little of the odd artwork on the walls in this family's home. You see a nice framed picture of a hot dog.
Well, just what are you crazy about, Mrs. Stetson? The sound of your son snacking on dog shit? Oh, please.
I don't know if you guys caught that in the living room.
I saw that. I'm jelly. But then also, he's into pop art.
It's like,
he's got
Lichtenstein.
a Lichtenstein.
Yes, of course.
The POW.
Yeah,
pop art, comic book pop art, high art.
Fantastic. So speeding through this here, then we see some wet dreams. He's having like actual sexual wet dreams about, you know, Rebecca, and that's when they bring each other in to meet with Neil, and he manipulates the situation. As we said, they speak in tongues, and there's that whole moment, of course. Sorry.
It's like, Amy, can you translate that, please?
Yeah, totally.
Sick, really creepy.
But then here's the kidnapping scene. This is a big moment in the film, you know, and her performance in this. How about that? When James Woods and Dennehy finally come out, and, you know, the henchmen, and they grab Danny, Joshua, and it cuts to her like screaming, and her face is all contorted, and she's almost like Isabella Gianni-ing in that moment.
Sure,
and it's really I don't know. I thought that was like pretty scary. I don't know. Maybe I'm Mandela-ing, but it was pretty great. It was great. Shout out to that.
There's high emotion in that moment.
High emotion. Then we see Danny waking up, Marcus, and there's wonderful lens distortion going on. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh gosh. Oh, you're talking about when he's at home after they got him,
when they bring him home.
Vision
they shot from a super wide angle lens, right? And it's handheld, so it feels like his vision. Yeah, it's so good. And then that whole sequence is great because they do these sort of like high contrast posterization effect. When he's sort of tripping out, and
the lizard face,
and there's another really cool blocking thing they do where like James Woods is sitting there like yelling at him, trying to deprogram him, but you can't hear him because Karen Allen appears. It's almost like a theatrical presentation where you've got like
It is.
two people on stage. She's on one side, he's on the other. She's loud and talking. He's sort of like, almost like just mouthing the words. And you're hearing that. I mean, it's a great way to show that Danny's not even listening to James Woods. He's listening. He's hearing Karen Allen.
Yep.
Because he's having a vision of Karen.
That's
it's a great sort of like visual depiction of like what is happening inside his mind.
Totally.
There is kind of there's audio distortion along with the visual distortion too.
Very cool. Very cool early 80s style there. Then
let's not bury the lead.
Demon costume that shows up for a second.
Well, that's what he was saying. Yeah, like the lizard with the licking the lips.
Oh, right.
With the tongue.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of that actually.
Yeah.
But
totally.
But I'll take what we can get.
So
it's very creepy.
Shortly before we get to the apex of James Woods, we then see the folks from the cult try to come in, which is very creepy. It's kind of a Warriors, can Joshua come out and play? And
and they're filmed kind of like he looks over and sort of distantly and in the shadows.
Silhouette.
These figures are lurking, and he says, "You bastards, get out of here!"
No, he goes, "You want Joshua? I'll give you Joshua, you son of a bitch."
Where's Joshua? We want him. I'll give you Joshua, you sons of bitches! Sons of bitches!
And it's pretty amazing.
Classic Dennehy.
But there's also that, he gives us the emotional moment of the reuniting of Danny and Rebecca, and they get torn away, lovers, and that's somewhat emotional. And then now James Woods is out of patience, out of time, and he ain't got time for any of this shit.
He's getting straight up Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Totally. What I'm remembering is it's Amy, right? He's got her by the hair, and he's like making this fiendish face, and he's like jerking her head back with her hair, by the hair.
Yeah, he's statistically,
he's getting out of control.
He's getting out of control, and then
he's having too much fun.
And then he stages. He's
so sadistic.
He stages this incredible moment where he brings in the dad. And I love how there's no fucking setup to this. No, like, this is what we're going to do, okay? Follow my lead. No, because you as the viewer are shocked by this. He brings in Dennehy and proceeds to slap the fuck out of him in front of Danny, and he's slapping him and spitting on him and fucking,
It's like, it reminds me of Cruising for some reason. Cruising for some reason.
Yeah, right. Who the fuck is that guy? Yeah. And
like disorienting. Well, he does. There's this foreboding little moment before where James Wood kind of whispers in Dennehy's ears before they open the door, and he's like, "Just go along with."
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I was like, what is this going to be?
Yeah, I know, right. Yeah, and then he just is screaming at Danny, "Fuck your father, fuck your father," which is amazing.
Dude.
And so that's kind of the moment where Danny's forced to now save his dad, and that's what kind of ultimately breaks him and finally gets him to, show emotion towards his family once again. So we sort of get to fast track this because I'm staring at the clock. We get Danny kind of, semi-rehabilitated. Then, Kotcheff does put in some interesting social commentary, I think, here, where we see another scene with James Woods where James Woods is trying to sell the family on basically having Danny be this sort of poster boy of this cult deprogramming.
It would be like if I got us booked on Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of framing. You know what I mean? Like he's like trying to cash in and go to the next level.
Totally.
With this deprogramming.
Yeah,
shit,
which is very, that's a sleazy move. That's exploitative. And, so it shows us a little more about what James Woods is all about as well, too.
It's really interesting to give the character that much motivation. Like, he's not really a good guy. Like, even after that whole thing, he's slapping him, he's smoking a cigarette almost like after sex.
I know.
This is what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
The way I see him, if we can just do like a dime store psychoanalysis, he's a street guy. He's like a street level guy. And he's not like Ted Patrick, but the same way though as Ted Patrick, they don't have training. It's not like they went to a school. They're just like, I can crank out this shit. I can like slap these kids around. I know what to say. I know the routine. And sometimes the way there's ways that street smart people have where they can quickly break someone down psychologically. They have like this kind of street level emotional intelligence, and they're not professional psychoanalysts, of course. But he realized that he can crack the nut.
You know what I think?
And then he goes like, Danny is exactly like the last 20 guys. Like I got this down, And he's just a lizard because he's like a working class guy, and he figured out a way to make some cash.
I also feel like though he does have a moralistic bone, and he is a kind of he's a man of God somewhat in this idea, because he does make references to Christianity and don't you believe in God, and so I think he finds what Peter Fonda is doing is blasphemous to a degree, and I think he does feel.
And there's the contrast.
And Dennehy, though.
Yes.
And the younger brother too. He's sort of like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
like materialistic rich people. No, it's true. I think I'll just amend that slightly. He's a cynic. He's like an older hippie era cynic,
right?
Who is bitter about the rich, greedy, and powerful of the world and how they turn people around into puppets of all stripes. You know, you're right.
It's developed. It does make you think that James Woods brought that character almost 100%.
He enriched that character with all these nuances we're discussing.
Oh, and I do want to say that Ted and Jimmy, as he referred to him,
I love that.
They were close right up until the end, and Ted would reflect on Jimmy's politics and be like, "Oh, Jimmy," you know, and it was pretty funny. But anyway, put a pin in this, Marcus. We'll cheat after the clock talking about Danny's bedroom because I do want to talk about that.
Okay.
But I also wanted to just mention one other insane piece of dialogue as this film gets to a close. I don't know if you guys caught this, but when the mom is reflecting at frustration over Danny still having feelings for Rebecca, we see Brian Dennehy comfort her in a scene, kind of overlooking a sunset, it almost feels like. And she says, "I just feel like I'm being slowly raped."
I just feel stripped. I feel like I've been slowly raped.
Is what her line is in this fucking movie. Crazy. So someone's writing some crazy lines of dialogue in this movie. But then, of course, at the very end, we see that little unrealistic, but whatever. It's it works. The idea of here's the big reuniting of Amy and Danny. And they're there, and of course, Peter Fonda shows up, and there's this big showdown, and they're trying to take him back. But no, man, he's staying strong, and he's not going back, and he's not getting broken, and he's going to take Amy with her, and it's going to be this happy ending where they're going to ride off into the sunset. Together. Yeah, exactly. So,
like the Graduate
has the classic freeze frame into credits, that whole gimmick. But so a little unrealistic. I don't know if they would let them go that easily, but. Still, it does work for what it is and what its time is. And everything.
It does. And I actually like that note that it ends on because it is kind of, like a traditional Hollywood ending kind of, which is not.
You need it. You need
at
that time.
There we go, everybody.
Exactly.
Felt like the clock was brutal on that one.
You should end the clock with, time's up.
Right. So there you go, everybody. That was 1 fucking hour on Split Image.
It's a good movie. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe no one has seen it before, but seek it out. It's cool. It's
cool.
It
is. It is. Again, if you're a connoisseur of gems, buried gems, I think this definitely belongs on that a list.
James
of that
Woods of the subject of cults.
Totally.
Ted Kotcheff, early 80s. It's cool.
Round out your Brian Dennehy collection.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
There you go.
Dennehy all day. He's so good. He's in.
Go ahead.
He plays the clown killer.
Oh God, he plays Gacy.
Gacy in that.
He's too good. Yeah, the TV movie. Yeah,
the TV movie on Gacy. Fantastic.
A quick side note. This is a tiny cheat. It's just there's a little featured player, Pamela Ludwig. In her just about only other film. She's the gal in Over the Edge.
Oh, right.
Who goes out with our lead character. This is like one of her other very small roles. She kind of came and went.
Wow.
So shout out to Pamela Ludwig.
Shout out. And Marcus, we'll cheat a little bit too. It was very fun seeing, Danny's bedroom in this film. With all the deep cut Beatles sort of ephemera on the wall. And you said it reminded you of your childhood bedroom.
Yeah, it looks a lot like my childhood room. Yeah.
But
it jumped at me. He's got like Hotel California and like Sgt. Pepper and Parallel Lines and Let It Be. Okay. And then he's got Double Fantasy hanging up on his wall.
You know what's kind of corny? My dad has Double Fantasy on his wall. Right
to
now.
This day.
Yes,
right now.
He does.
In 2025.
He does.
We were sending each other pictures of our rooms, and then I have one of my my high school room, and then you sent me yours, and they were surprisingly similar.
I know. I found a picture of my high school room, which I'm so glad I have a picture of. Mine was very clean, and what you'll see because that's my mom was like OCD. So she'd clean everything like perfectly and rigidly, like it was a North Korean fucking hotel room or something. But but there's like, I had the Zeppelin albums, you had the Zeppelin albums on the wall, I had Kiss albums on the wall.
Same Kiss album.
Same Kiss out. I had the same exact, was that Rock and Roll Over or whatever? Like who listens to that one? Yeah. So I had all that shit. So it's cool.
My slight sheet is just to piggyback.
But you already did. Go ahead.
No, I'm just to piggyback on what you're saying. I'm in the defense of Danny.
Ooh, okay.
In the context of the zeitgeist.
Oh, okay.
This is months after Lennon was murdered.
Right.
Oh,
and everything was very John Lennon.
That's true.
Like,
That's
like if you're into rock and roll, it's like fucking Lennon, bro. We lost him. He was right there in the tip of everyone's consciousness in like rock and roll.
That's true. That's true. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Redact everything.
Wasn't like he had Venus and Mars album cover.
Well, he does have McCartney too on.
Oh, well, then I'm wrong. Okay.
Which came out around the same time, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Killer cheat,
McCartney
guys.
was murdered too, wasn't he? Like, okay.
Yeah. Killer cheat. Okay. We got some business to attend to in terms of what's coming up.
On to the next hour.
on to the next. So a couple things. We're going to announce shortly here what next week's episode is going to be. Then, just as a long tease, we have another birthday episode coming up. Week after next, it's Marcus's big birthday.
Some decisions coming up.
Yeah, how is the film deciding?
My short list is I've narrowed it down to about 40 titles. And I think you guys are going to hate all of them.
Oh,
I love it.
I love it. Sounds great.
Well, you got a week to sort it out.
Yeah,
to have a Squid Game between the titles.
Squid Game.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm just going to give them all a quick rewatch first.
Watch all 40 and then see what sticks out to you. Okay, so plan ahead for that. Mark your calendars.
The week after next.
Marcus your calendars.
If you have any guesses, throw it in there, and then maybe I'll just
remember when we
take
said
one
this?
of those ideas and say I was
wait. Should we do the $200 challenge again?
No,
let's do it.
No
one's gonna guess the movie.
We could do it. I mean,
let's do it. Fuck it. Nobody.
Yeah. No. Yes. There's a $200.
Okay. So
on this
for Tom's birthday episode,
someone did figure out my birthday pick.
They did
and guessed correctly before
and we
it was
paid
announced.
We paid them.
Which is frightening.
And they sent me a picture of a scan of their passport that I didn't ask for, but we did pay them.
From now on, that is part of the rules.
Yeah, we need you.
Every Patreon, everyone on Patreon needs to give us their passport photo.
You need to have a valid
number.
You need to have a valid passport and real ID. We need to have a real ID ready to go because it's May, guys. You better get the real IDs.
You're out.
You're out of here. All right, so $200 challenge. If you can guess Marcus's birthday pick for his episode 2 weeks from now, and you got 2 weeks to figure that out.
You will have earned it if you can guess.
2 weeks to figure it out. You can comment on this episode or you can comment on next week's episode. If anyone guesses what it's going to be, $200 directly
real dollars
PayPal to you if you can figure that out. So that's going to be wild. All right, but what are we doing next week? Fuck it. Let's just, we're not doing any big series right now. We can be free form. We can hop here. We can hop there. We're going to do it. We just kind of threw it out just right before we recorded, and it sounded like a good idea. So we're going to go for it. That's about what happens. That happens around here.
That happens.
Shocking that we haven't covered it. It's a monster film. It's another bite at the Kubrick apple. We haven't done many Kubrick films. I think only The Shining so far. Right? Yeah. I think that's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Wow.
So I don't know. So we're gonna do.
Wait, we did. Didn't we do the mask one? Sorry.
Oh, Eyes Wide Shut. We did Eyes Wide Shut.
We did.
Sorry.
So you did two Eyes Wide Shut.
Sorry.
So this one, when this title came up, I had a literal Mandela effect, and I think Marcus was saying the same thing. I was like, "Oh, we did that. We covered this movie.
Yeah.
We did this before, right? Because it's so obviously where we would go.
Yes,
but we had not. So here, I'll reveal.
We have done all the big tentpole movies too.
Right, exactly.
Like Apocalypse.
Okay, I'll reveal it this way now. Here we go. Drum roll, please. Do you have a drum roll in there?
I don't have a drum roll.
Oh, who cares? Okay,
go ahead. Ready? Here we go. Locked and loaded. Clockwork Orange. All right. Perfect. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. 1 fucking hour on Clockwork Orange, everybody. This is going to be fun because this movie, obviously we're going to cover this in the way we do all the big monster step-down films. Yes. We're going to go
as
deep.
In the tradition, right, as a tradition of Goodfellas.
Yes.
What did we'd spend a half an hour when we did Goodfellas on I gotta have my hat.
Yeah, I gotta have my hat.
We did Scarface.
Yeah.
45 minutes
on
covering
Octavio.
Octavio the clown at the nightclubs.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to Octavio. So we're doing the same philosophy here.
Yes.
It's we call it detail core.
Yeah, detail core.
And when it's a big, sloppy, crazy classic movie, we're going to get into the minutia of it. Now, I have this incredible book. It has every scene, every still from every shot in the film, actually, and and the entire script. So, I'm going to give you one example of the kind of the depths of detail that you can expect and look forward to.
Okay.
With Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover, for instance,
sort of a pre-cheat, if you will.
Yes.
What I call, this is one example of the depths of the details. So we're going to cover extensively the Tony Hinchcliffe of A Clockwork Orange. Yes. So if you recall in A Clockwork Orange, Alex has been deprogrammed and they're testing it. And they bring out two people in this kind of strange, small black box theater, this performative thing.
Oh, yeah.
Alex is sitting there in his suit with the spotlight, and some weird comedian named Lardface, by the way.
Yeah.
This weird comedian comes out, and he goes, "Hello, heap of dirt. Oh, you don't wash much, do you? Judging from the horrible smell." So we're going to get really into that scene.
Oh, wow.
Where a brutal, roast comedian confronts our guy Alex,
comedian,
with slam after slam,
right,
and Hinchcliffe bangers,
yes,
to see if he responds to the roast.
Hinchcliffe bangers.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to get into the weird, tiny, small, strange incredibleness of this film's set pieces,
Yeah.
And, so join us.
All right. Sounds like a good plan. So next week, everybody is going to be 1 fucking hour in Clockwork Orange. Finally, we're going to hit that up. Then Marcus's birthday episode will be following that. Maybe some special guests. We got some other stuff happening. We got a summer series we're planning. We got a bunch of stuff here. And of course, we can't leave everybody without mentioning what the next Patreon episode is. Again, one more time, only available up on the Patreon, patreon.com/1fucking-hour. Or if you sign up to join the YouTube channel, become a Moment of the YouTube channel, same price, same benefits, same perks. We're going to be doing our finally long-awaited, watch.
It's been a month now.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Over a month.
It is. We're going to be doing the Pizza Man Watch Along, which we're going to be getting into Bill Maher's early 90s, satire of the film noir genre.
It's a satire of
satire.
It's a satire. Wow, I can't say that. It's a satire of noir, but also a painfully dated snapshot of politics from 1988 to 1991.
Yes.
So there's a lot of like George Dukakis jokes.
Yes.
Stuff.
I am very excited because I'm going to spend that whole time smacking my lips like Bill Maher does.
Ooh, nice.
I'm going to be a lot of lips smacking.
Sweetheart.
Yeah, sweetheart. So a lot of that's going to happen.
Okay.
Very excited about that.
Central.
Yeah, the woke mind virus. We're going to be getting into the sort of preeminent Bill Maher noir. If you want to watch that,
so
with
please
us.
join us, and only Patreons can get that bonus. I want to have just one anecdote about Pizza Man specifically, and old Bill here. Here's another thing. I was looking at his filmography. Before this, he was in a couple comedies. He was popping around, but he's the lead here. Like he's on the VHS cover.
That's fucked up.
And guess what? After Pizza Man, that's it, dude.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. After that, it just becomes Bill Maher as himself.
Yeah, right.
Like 8 years later.
Right.
So this is the career-ending film for Bill Maher.
Yeah.
So
the only way to watch that with us, I have never seen it. I'm gonna watch it for the first time. You're gonna complete it for the first time, Tom. Marcus, you'll see it for the first time.
Second half.
Each of us are ordering pizzas. We're gonna have a pizza party. It's gonna be like a Zoom
2020 style, remotely in all our 3 different places.
A remote pizza party.
Join us. We encourage you. Order a pizza.
Yep.
Have a slice.
Order some Jing.
Jing, get some Jing.
Put some Jing in your
Jang.
Your pink Tanqueray or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Bubblegum. Tequila.
Make sure you have what is that? Kim Kardashian's vodka standing by, or whatever the fuck that is.
But yeah, please join us. We're watching the entire film. We're going to talk about the film. We're going to talk about Bill. We're going to talk about pizza.
It's going to get wild.
I'm looking forward to it.
I
want to go.
We're the only reason it's taking us so long to do this is because we are waiting on very specific materials and ephemera to arrive in the mail. So it's actually Bill Maher's fault. We haven't done this episode
he's
yet.
Holding up
he really actually is.
Yeah,
So anyway, so that'll be the next Patreon.
We're getting there. It's any day now.
Yeah, any day there now. So all right, everybody. Well, that's a wrap on tonight's episode. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And of course, we can't leave you without your. Remember, we used to do the like rev up the.
Oh yeah, like starting.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, I did forget that.
Yeah, starting the Moment engine here. We're gonna leave you with that. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on the flip side for Clockwork Orange. I'm excited.
Clockwork Orange.
Hell yeah! All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.
I renounce my former life.
I renounce my former life.
Danny is dead.
Danny is dead.
I am Joshua, a warrior in your cause.
I am Joshua, a warrior in your cause.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.